Okay, so with that in mind, let's press forward. What is the date of 4688's promulgation? It's 6/18/1666. It's actually 2 years after 2 years after the promulgation of I sorry through 3 years before the promulgation of RA 5527, which was again 6/21/1969. Okay, so again, the reason why I'm repeating it over and over again is I want you guys to have a neural connection. I want you guys to establish a neural connection with these um, two laws, mainly because why? First, because it makes you remember these things easier, and of course, you don't have to worry about dates because it will come out of your minds naturally. Anyways, let's move on with Administrative Order 2007-0027. And what date it was promulgated. These are revised rules and regulations governing the registration and licensing of clinical laboratories in the Philippines. So basically, anything related to the Clinical Laboratory Act of 1966, or RA 4688, has something to do with the clinical laboratory infrastructure as it is. Okay, has nothing to do with the registration of the medtechs or the professional growth of not rather the profession of medtechs in general, but more so on the laboratory itself. Okay, the physical structure of the laboratory rather than the manpower. Okay, now it's promulgated 8/22/07, which is 2007. And again, these are revised laws or rules and regulations in the registration of laboratories in the Philippines. Okay, this is the governing body that regulates all clinical laboratories in the Philippines. Yes. Ha? Up naman na. Up na. Ayan o, live na o. Hindi ba? Hala, doy. Hoy, up naman na. Tama ba yun? Tingnan ko nga dito. Ikaw talaga, niloloko mo ako. Natakot ako tuloy. Up naman na. Tingnan natin dito sa isang phone. Oo, meron din naman dito. Ah, okay. Kinabahan ako ha. Nyaw-nyaw ako ng nyaw-nyaw dun, Moyo ha. Hindi pala live, no? Uulitin natin. Charing. Siyempre, live to. Hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng mga ganyan ang kamalian, no, Moyo. Anyways, let's continue. Governing body. So, we have board of several choices. Okay? So, obviously, you will be you'll have like you'll have a government facility, or rather a government mandated organization that looks into the functions, or rather the registration and the whether or not owners of clinical laboratories follow the regulations that are under 4688. So this is BHFS, or Bureau of Health Facilities and Services. So again, it's not BRL. Okay, a lot of my students last year when asked this question, they answered BRL. BRL is Bureau of Research Laboratories. Okay, Bureau of Health Facilities and Services is different. Okay, so please be mindful of that one, because a lot of my students last year were unable to answer that the simplest of questions. BRL, training laboratory. They accredit training laboratories so that they can do what they do best, to train either interns or postgraduate trainees. Okay, for certification. Okay, so what is the scope of services offered by BHS according to AO? Okay, so of a clinical laboratory. So all clinical laboratories in the Philippines except governing laboratory performing microscopy works for the DOH can do AFB screening, malaria, screening for STDs and cervical pap smear. Okay, so they added this one to the scope of services offered by BSH according to the amendment. So except these things, except all clinical laboratories in the Philippines governing lab performing microscopy works for the DOH will be able to test these tests, except will be able to test a lot of tests except these. Okay, now what are that's the reason why you don't do we don't see any we don't see a lot of laboratories do these tests outside of big laboratories. Usually they are funded by the government in the Philippines. Okay? Capital letter yung P dyan, class. Don't forget. Okay? Pasabihin nyo mali-mali naman tong spelling ni Sir Manuel. Okay? Chill lang kayo. What are the classifications of laboratories in the Philippines? Paulit-ulit yung classifications. Okay? What are the classifications? Sinaantok na siguro ko niyan. There's four types. Okay? So, ownership, function, institutional character, and service capability. So, based on ownership, it's either a government or private institution. Okay? Kaya nga, kaya nalilito ang mga students ko pagka tinanong ko na sila ng pagka tinanong ko na sila ng ganyan. Kasi, sino bang hospital sa Philippines ang Kasi you guys, although you may not see it, but you guys need to know which hospitals are government-owned, which hospitals are not government-owned when you enter the practice. You'll see stark differences between these two, and of course, you'll know who to send samples to, or who will do the who you send samples to, or who you would refer certain patients to when it comes to tests that are unavailable in your laboratory. So mga ganong mga bagay-bagay. Even though ngayon hindi nyo pa alam, dapat as you go into your as you move and you become embryo medtechs into baby medtechs, okay, kailangan unti-unting inaalam nyo siya, kasi pagka wala kayong alam sa outside world sa outside world ng practice natin, mahihirapan kayo in the future. Okay, not just for job hunting, but more on efficiency in the lab, so to speak. Anyways, we also have functionality, classification based on functionality. Most clinical laboratories in the Philippines are a combination of both, but there are some exceptions. Sometimes it's just a clinical laboratory or a clinical pathology lab. Sometimes it's an anatomical pathology lab only. Okay, sometimes both of them are in one institution, but they are in separate locations. That could happen as well. The first hospital that I worked in the Philippines has a clinical laboratory that is located in the premises of the hospital, whilst the other one is located in the outside walls of the hospital institution, next only to the College of Medicine. So it depends on the institution itself. But based on function, clinical laboratories traditionally, not all of them, okay, not all clinical laboratories are just separated. Some hospitals, they would combine them together just to save space. Okay, so depends on several factors. Sometimes safety is also an important thing to consider when you're making a lab, when you are planning on operating a facility such as a laboratory. Anyways, let's move on to institutional character. So, institution-based or freestanding. When you say institutional character, whether it's asking, is it part of a hospital, or is it only a hospital by its, or is it only a laboratory on its own? Okay, that the doctors who have private practice send their patient samples to, and they collect their. There are a lot of agreements between laboratories, freestanding laboratories, and private clinicians who are in private practice. Sometimes even hospital-based clinicians who have duty hours in an institution, such as a hospital, but they have friends who own little laboratories outside the hospital, and they want to increase the revenue of a certain test. They would send their patient samples or their patients directly to a specific freestanding laboratory, and that is that is pretty much a common practice, particularly in the Philippines. I've seen that a lot. Uh, yung good example niyan is ano ba magandang example? Quezon City Memorial Medical Center, right? QMMC ba yan? Quezon City Memorial QCMC. QCMC, Quezon City Memorial Medical Center. Um, si QMMC, meron silang laboratory, di ba? So that is considered as an institutional-based laboratory. That's within the premises of the laboratory, that's within the premises of the institution or the hospital itself. Okay? Where patients can patients can go get their tests. Sometimes, most of the time, these tests are expensive or mahaba ang pila. For practical reasons, mahaba ang pila, right? So they would go to, I think, one tricycle ride away from QMMC. Just say Ace Laboratory. Not Ace Laboratory. Ace is a hospital also, which also has its own laboratory. Let's say Mangkopong-Kopong's clinical laboratory. Okay? So yun. I don't know if they say, where do they send interns in Capital Medical where do they send Capital Medical MLS interns? Saan kayo pinatadala? Lilzo, nagganyan ka kanina eh. QCGH pa rin ba siya? Akala ko QMMC na siya. QCGH pala. Oh, So, saan yun? AFP? Dinadala pa rin kayo sa AFP. Yung iba, saan pinadala? Ano yon? Ay, social. Ang layo naman ang pinadadala ni... Grabe naman to si Marco. Ang layo naman pinadadala ng ano. Charin. Saan? Saan yun? Ang layo naman. Mga bagong mga ospitalya, mga pinadadalhan na. Nagulat ako ha. Well, anyways, institutional-based characters and freestanding laboratories. So, bigay kayo ng isang example ng freestanding laboratory nga. Yung kilalang kilala sa Pilipinas. Walang Grabe la, ilang beses ako nakakita ng ano nyo nung umuwi ako, Kim Kylie. Di ba, Hypre? Ang dami kong friends dyan. Shout out dun sa mga friends ko sa Hypre. Charit. Okay. High precision, di ba? Then sa Murayta, ay dyan sa um, along not recto, kung saan ako nagpapamedical nung nag-apply ako sa Saudi, Diyos ko. Mga kasabay ko, mga seaman, mga manly men. So ako lang yung tapos sabay-sabay kami maghuhubad ng gown. Hindi ko kaya. Class, hindi ko kaya yun. Kaya ayoko talaga. May phobia ako sa may phobia ako sa mga freestanding laboratory na yan. Kung hindi nyo ako ipadadala sa St. Luke's, wag na lang. Ganon. Yung mas bet ko pang masingil ako ng 10K. Kesa yung sabay-sabay kaming lahat. Class, totoo yun, class. Pinaghubad kami sabay-sabay and I felt so exposed. Charot. Wala naman pakialam. Ano ba? No homo yun. Okay, anyways. Let's go to service capability. So you could have like general laboratory, which could be primary, tertiary, or primary, secondary, tertiary, or a limited service laboratory. You can also have a special laboratory. So, yung mga sperm bank, di ba? Yung mga eye bank, tissue banks, mga ganon. Okay? And what else do we have? And scope of practice, scope of services for a primary laboratory. So everything, routine hematology with WBC differential, hemoglobin hematocrit, WBC, and RBC, of course. RBC count. Don't forget RBC count. Hindi ko na isama dyan. Routine urine and fecal analysis, qualitative platelet test, qualitative, high-low, normal lang ang result niyan. Blood typing, if it's hospital-based. If it's not hospital-based, they are not allowed to release that result. If you do have something like that, please ask them why are they doing that. Maybe there is some changes in the Clinical Laboratory Act, but I have never seen somebody being blood typed outside of the hospital. Bakit? Anong purpose nila para mag-blood type, di ba? Anong purpose ng isang freestanding laboratory nga naman? Tama nga naman yung initial intent ng batas na to, di ba? Anong purpose? Di ba? Hindi naman sila wala naman silang transfusion services. Hindi naman sila nag-extract ng dugo, di ba? Okay? So yun, hindi sila nag-extract ng dugo na litro-litro kumbaga. Okay? So what are the scopes of a secondary laboratory? So a secondary laboratory, everything a primary laboratory can do. So yun nga, yung mga routine na yan. Plus the addition of quantitative platelet counts. Yun na yung may numbers na. Cross-matching, gram stain, KOH, routine chemistry, and glucose, which include urine, which include glucose and these two are your kidney panel tests. Okay, or they call it RPN, renal panel test, on cholesterol. Okay, so wag na tayong pwede na din nating isama yan. Kasama din na diyan yung lipid profile. So buong lipid profile na yan, friends. Okay, class and friends. Okay, what are the scope of services? Services dapat mali ang grammar ko. May S dapat yan. Of a tertiary laboratory. All of the second laboratory tests or secondary laboratory tests that are mentioned before, okay, plus special chemistry, special hematology that includes coagulation studies, immunology and serology, and culture and sensitivity. Okay, so social naman pala yung pinagtrabahuhan ko ng part-time noon kasi nagre-release kami ng HEPA screening tests noon. Okay. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Example of laboratories in the Philippines, capital PN, with limited service capabilities. So example of laboratories in the Philippines could include lab with dialysis centers or social hygiene laboratory clinics. So ano itong tinatawag nating laboratory dialysis centers? Have you been to Roosevelt Station before? Does anybody here live near Muñoz? Diba? Kasi alam ko, diba? Alam ko kasi doon ako lumaki, class. Galing ako sa QCA. Lagi kong dinadaanan yon, Quezon City Academy. Ang kaaway namin mga taga San Francisco High School. Charing, hindi ako nakipag-away. Okay, chill lang kayo, hindi ako nakipag-away. Char lang yun. Okay? So sino dito yung charot lang, ano ba? Ikaw naman, hindi halata. Oh my God. Ganyan yun yung mga gangsters sa Pilipinas, yung yung mga nagtitiktok na gano'n. Yung mga charot na gano'n. Okay, so dun sa Muñoz, di ba may makikita kayo doon sa tabi ng Iglesia ni Cristo, may green na building doon. Familiar kayo? Okay? Okay, may makikita kayo doon na green na building doon, malaki. May makikita kayo doon, Dialysis Center of the Philippines. Asian Pacific Dialysis Center. Hindi ko alam kung nabago na yung pangalan niya. But all it does is do dialysis. And these laboratories are given exemptions to practice to perform certain tests because they need these tests. For example, primary lab yung capabilities niya, like it can do only urinalysis. It can only do urinalysis. It can only do chemistry tests limited to KPMs. Okay? Anong KPMs? Kidney panel tests. Okay? Or KPT, kidney panel tests. Okay? What about social hygiene club? Ito yung mga libreng STD tests, 'di ba? May mga tayo diyan, may mga health clinic tayo, 'di ba? Social hygiene lab clinic or social hygiene health clinics. 'Di ba? Yan yung mga nandoon sa mga outskirts ng I don't know, ayoko maging mapanglait, pero basta diyan yan yung mga pakalat-kalat yan sa probinsya, 'di ba? Meron silang mga kits, 'di ba, ng mga dala-dala. Tapos may iba pa nga doon nung panahon daw ng COVID, nagte-test daw ng molecular assays doon eh. So yun yung mga may special considerations kasi that is the need of their community and their patients. Okay? All right. Now, let's move on to the next one. Examples of specialized laboratories. Ito na 'yon. Molecular biology labs and assisted reproductive technology. So molecular laboratory labs, obviously yun yung mga nagte-test nung COVID nung mga panahon na yun na wala naman silang ibang other test aside from that, right? Agresibo pala to sa Muñoz. Si Raul. Hoy. Hoy. Laking Muñoz market ako. Charit. Charit lang, hindi ako lumabas doon. Project 8 tayo, friend. Nung lumalaki ako. Okay? And then assisted reproductive technology, yun yung mga may sperm bank, egg banks, 'di ba? Egg cell banks, 'di ba? Yun yung mga pagtatrabahuhan niyo kung gusto niyo ng specialized laboratory settings. Kasi office hours lang sila, class, 'di ba? So, hindi nagmamadali ang sample at majority of the time hindi nakakamatay yung mga results na re-release nila or yung mga laboratory tests, laboratory procedures na ginagawa nila. And obviously, hindi lang naman laboratory tests ang ginagawa natin. There are laboratory procedures that we sometimes do. Sometimes we assist in autopsies, which isn't really a laboratory test in general. It's basically a procedure. They dissect it. We collect the samples. So basically, it's a procedure. Okay? Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Statim. Never mind about that. I think that what's being asked is what is stat? Statim means immediately from Latin. Okay, what are the general requirements for laboratories? General requirements: it has to have a license to operate from the BHFS. Okay, if it's a teaching laboratory, it is exempted to register. Okay, if it's a special lab, it must register. If it's a physician laboratory office, they have to secure license. There are a lot of things underneath this one. It should issue an official report. It should cater to other patients, and it should perform tests other than monitoring tests. So, physician lab office or POL are very much required to follow certain checklists. Okay, POCT. A term for POCT is what? Point of care testing. Diagnostic tests done at or near patient care settings. So this could be a bedside test, or this could be done by somebody who is usually supervised or licensed, who's usually supervised or managed by a laboratory. So class, for example, okay, ang parents ninyo pinadala sa one time meron akong na-experience nito kasi yung nanay ko mahilig magpunta-punta dyan sa kung saan-saang mga bangketa kung saan may mga medical mission. Okay? Sabi niya, "Hay, anak, ang taas ng glucose ko. 225." And normally ang nanay ko, my mother is diabetic. I know my mother is diabetic. She got diabetes, right? Obviously, if you have diabetes, you're going to have high levels of blood sugar, right? But it never reached 200 and above, right? So to me, something's amiss. At I asked her, where did you get your lab test? In English talaga, hindi, charit lang, hindi alam ni mama na ano. Charing lang yun. Okay? So tinanong ko ang nanay ko, sabi niya, wala, doon sa mga medical mission, libre lang. Ganon. Okay? Sabi ko, medtech bang gumawa? Wala, yung mga volunteer. Ano yung mga volunteer? Hindi ko alam, anak. Basta sabi niya yung mga mukha lang daw na marites. Oh, ganon. Yung mga mukhang marites lang daw. Sa tingin nyo, class, alam ba ng mga marites kung paano mag-calibrate ng glucometer? 'Di ba? So ako naman, syempre, bida-bida akong anak. Nagtawag ako sa friend ko. Magpabili ka diyan sa Lazada ng tapos i-calibrate mo. Tapos padala mo doon sa padala mo by Grab. Oh, ang nanay ko, she got diabetes. Yes, but it's only 150. Child, kita nyo 100 ang itinaas. Dahil 'di ba, hindi siya managed by a laboratory. So, POCT tests must be managed or at least supervised by somebody who's working in a licensed laboratory or at least affiliated to a licensed lab. Okay? They can do bedside testing. All right. Now, specific requirements. So, specific requirements, there's a long list of requirements. This is actually the same things that the PhilHealth accreditors look for. Human resource, of course, is the first thing. They look at everything from the head pathologists. If there is a pathologist, if the pathologist is registered, or if the pathologist license is on track or is not expired, of course. They also look at the RMTs. Are the licenses of these people faked? Are their licenses revoked, or there's a lot of questions. Okay, what else? They also look at equipment. Okay, they also look at the supply. Tinitingnan nila kung kaya ba to, baka naman order lang ng order to, tapos sinesend lang pala sa ibang laboratory. Bawal yun, class. Bawal yun, class. They also check the physical plan. Okay? According to the law, a primary laboratory should be at least 10 square meters. Okay? A secondary laboratory is double that, which is 20 square meters. And a tertiary laboratory is 60 square meters. Okay? They must also have administrative policies. They also have technical procedures. And they also have quality assurance and quality control. Okay? So what is the difference between administrative policies and technical procedures? Sige nga, class. Administrative policies, yan yung mga nasa HR. Yung mag-payroll mo, di ba? Job description mo, paano ka ma-hire, ano yung hiring process, okay? Magkano ang sasahudin mo, mga harassment cases, mga harassment policies, 'di ba? Privacy policies, mga ganon. Okay? Technical procedures, ito yung for example, assign si Renmar sa phlebotomy. Ano ang dapat na procedure na fina-follow niya? 'Di ba? May mga ganon 'yan, may mga steps 'yan. Bullet 1, phlebotomy procedure based on Renmar Canlas. Ganon, based on Renmar Canlas, authored by Renmar Canlas, mga ganon, 'di ba? Tapos pupunta tayo sa ang head ng department is si Mel, 'di ba? Hematology, ang tests niya CBC. Anong machine ang gamit? Ganon ang nakalagay. Okay? So ganon ang mga nakalagay. Anong machine ang gamit? Anong principle ng machine? Is it through electrical impedance or is it through flow cytometry? 'Di ba? Does it use dyes? Also, it has to be indicated there. Aside from those things, how do you troubleshoot the machine? That's also included in the technical policies. Quality control and quality assurance. Ano yung mga policies to avoid errors, di ba? Mga ganun. Okay? Pag sinabi natin quality assurance, it encompasses all steps of the laboratory procedure, from patient collection, patient preparation, test ordering, to reporting the results. Okay? Quality control is if the test is accurate, precise, 'di ba? Mga ganon. Is it specific? Is it specific? Has it been validated both by an outside entity and within the laboratory personnel? Or are the personnel also competent? There's also competency testing for that one. Okay? I'm not sure if competency testing is part of many policies that Philippine laboratories I worked in have been included yet, but ever since laboratories in the Philippines have been vying for a CAP accreditation, which is College of American Pathologists accreditation, which is very stringent with their screening process and their checklists. A lot of hospitals now are being trained to, a lot of medtechs now are being trained to become quality coordinators. Okay, so those are the things that they always look for. The human resource. They look at the equipment, the physical plan, the reagents, the supply chain. Of course, also is included the policies, technical procedures, and quality control and quality assurance. Now, lab management na yun. Napunta na tayo sa lab management. Di ba? Combined na siya eh. Combined na siya actually eh. Kasi part na ng exam, parang dinadagdag na ng mga examiners yung lab management questions class. Okay? What are the conditions to operate a mobile laboratory? Well, there is a radius where you can operate a mobile laboratory. It should be at least within a 100-kilometer radius, and it should only collect specimens. Shouldn't allow you're not supposed to test patients in a mobile laboratory because there hasn't been a test that you can there hasn't been a machine that can do advanced scientific procedures whilst on the go. Okay? Sasabihin ninyo, Sir, meron naman kaming ginagamit for trop-I na POCT. No. It still has to be done within specific conditions. Temperature, okay? There's supposed to be maintenance of temperature. So, okay. So, sige. Ganun. Paano, sir, yung mga Paano, sir, yung mga kits? Those are screening tests. They don't really tell whether a person has a specific disease, 'di ba? So, yon. Contents of an LTO, license to operate, should have it should have a license number, it should have a validity, it should have the name of the lab, the owner of the lab, the head of the lab, the location of the lab. So, the owner of the lab, sir, is it the pathologist? No. The owner of the lab could be any private person. It could be any private person or private citizen. Okay, but the head of the laboratory should always be a pathologist. You should always have a pathologist, at least one pathologist in the laboratory. Okay? Depending on, of course, your workload. Okay? And your manpower. Baka naman mamaya isa lang ang pathologist nyo, tapos ang test niyo is libo-libo. Diba? Kakaiba yon. Diba? Ganon. Location of the laboratory should be indicated because you can't have a laboratory that is registered in Novaliches but the license to operate is in the city of Tondo. 'Di ba? Nakakaloka 'yon. Ang layo ng tinravel, 'di ba? Mauurat ang PhilHealth. Bakit ang laboratory niyo nakalagay Quezon City General Hospital, Quezon City General Lab lang or Muñoz Laboratory. Pero ang license to operate, ang location nakalagay Novaliches City. Tama ba yun? Parang merong mekos na nangyayari ha. Ganon ang mga chine-check nila. Service capability, is it primary lab? Is it a specialized? Is it primary lab? Or is it a secondary, tertiary? Or is it a specialty lab? Mga ganon. Is it a limited-based laboratory? So they also have that one. Conditions in renewing an LTO, the LTO of a laboratory. If it's non-hospital based, you have to apply it. You have to apply it in November or October. It should be not late. It should not be later than 5 days after expiration. Okay. What else? What is the penalty for operating a clinical laboratory with an expired license? Mababa lang, class. 1,000 to 5,000 pesos lang, class. Kaya ang daming lumalabag. Diba? Kaya ang daming lumalabag. Kasi binabayaran lang nila eh. Imprisonment for not less than 1 month. Diba? Nakita nyo? Okay? So, sir, considered ba as clinical laboratory ang Shabu Factory? Hindi. Although there is a lot of laboratory apparatuses there, or apparatus. They utilize a lot of apparatuses there. Apparatuses. I don't know even if it's not the plural form, but there are a lot of equipment there that might be similar to what you're using in a laboratory. It's not considered a laboratory. Okay? Ang Shabu Factory, class, hindi siya laboratory. Okay? Some people might be able to make shabu in a laboratory, but not all laboratories are shabu factories. Okay? Okay? So, ganon. Doon pumapasok yung logic natin, yung philosophy of man natin 101. Okay? Okay, so next. Let's go to RA 1517, which is the Blood Banking Law of 1956. This was promulgated way before the Clinical Laboratory Act of 1966 and way before RA 5527. Okay? The purpose of what is the purpose of the amendment of RA 1527? RA 1527 is the amendment RA 7719, National Blood Services Act of 1994. This was promulgated 5594 during the Ramos regime. Okay, if I'm not mistaken. Ramos regime. Di pa siya si Erap eh. Yeah, di pa si Erap yan. What is the purpose of RA 7719? It is to promote voluntary blood donation and to phase out commercial blood banks. Okay? Bakit? Prior to the promulgation of RA 7719, and RA 1517, a lot of people make money by selling blood. Ginagawa yung sindikato, class. Alam mo naman ang mga Pilipino, 'di ba? Kung saan madaling kumita ng pera, ginagawang kaya nangingidnap ng mga batang hamog. Kumukuha ng mga batang hamog, 'di ba? Tapos binebenta yung dugo. Ganon ang ginagawa daw, 'di ba? Yan ang mga gawain sa Muñoz. Charit. Charit lang, class. Mga gawain sa Muñoz. Chill lang kayo. Hindi 'yan. Char ko lang. Okay? So the purpose of that one is to promote voluntary blood donation and to phase out commercial blood banks. Okay? There are blood banks that are commercial based. Okay? Ang talagang purpose nila is magbayad ng tao, bumili ng dugo. Okay? Bumili ng dugo para ibenta. Kasi hindi talaga siya blood, ang blood talaga, hindi naman talaga siya dapat talaga ginagawang commodity, di ba? It is considered to be a gift dapat. Ika nga ng founder ng Red Cross. Okay? So, what are the services offered by a category A blood bank? So, a category A blood bank is the simplest of all. It provides health education and health counseling and donor screening, donor selection, as well as provision, storage, transport, and distribution of blood, distribution of whole blood and packed red cells, compatibility testing. Okay? So, who here has donated blood? Sige nga. Kim Kylie. Sige. Tara, yan si Valiant. Ano yan, Valiant? Tuwa ako talaga kay Valiant. Dali lang, Kim Kylie. Na-distract ako. Okay, Kim Kylie. Where did you donate? Did you donate at a category A blood bank or category B blood bank or category C blood bank? Tingin mo. Bakit? Anong naiiba? Ton. Anong naiiba sa kanya sa A at B? So, sige natin sila. Isa-isahin natin sila. Okay? They investigate, category B investigates hemolytic transfusion reaction aside from the other ones, and they do the resolution of incompatible cross matches, right? What about, so dalawa lang ang categories ng blood bank. Paano nagkaroon ng C? Ikaw talaga, Kim Kylie, ha? Walang C. That was a trick question. Okay? So, paano mo nasabi na nasa category C ka? Una lang, sir, feel ko lang. Hindi. So, dalawa lang ang classification lang. Two classifications lang. For category A, most of their jobs is to, okay, we'll collect the blood, we'll talk to the people, right? We'll talk to the people, we'll select the donors and screen them. But they never really go beyond transfusion medicine per se. Okay? They don't go with explaining why this patient reacted in such a way to a specific bag of blood. Okay? Always put that into your pretty little minds when you are asked a question about category A and category B. Taray talaga ni Kim. Nag-invent ng ibang category. Ano kaya ang ginagawa sa category C? Nagpapadala sa Germany ng sample, siguro. No? Yung tao yung pinadadala. Ang swerte naman ng tao, pinadala sa Germany. Okay? So, yon. So, staffing requirements for blood banks. Sige nga. Sino makakasagot ng staffing requirements for blood banks? Ano bang requirements natin para magpatayo ng blood bank? Sige, yung nagpakita sa akin ng buhok na maganda kanina dyan. Nasa na si Valiant? Sige nga. Staffing requirements. Ay, wala. Nagtago si Valiant. Sige, staffing requirements tayo. Ayoko muna si Patrick at saka si Kim Kylie. Si ano muna, iba naman. Yung mga hindi ko naging students dati. Claire Gono, naging student din kita dati pero sige ngayon lang kita narinig today. Tingnan nga natin kung tama ba siya. Sino magko-contest? Wala nagko-contest? Girl, wala nagko-contest. Girl. Wala. Sige. Wala. Tingnan natin ang tamang sa... Oh, yan. Si Kim Kylie. Kino-contest ni Kim Kylie. Sige. Staffing requirement. Sige. Ay, malapit na pala tayong matapos. Wala makakasagot. Sige, Mel. Last year, meron na kayong copy nito. Kayo talaga, meron na kayong copy nito eh. Hindi pa rin kayo sumasagot. Ano? Tingnan natin kung tama. Very good. Okay? So, yan yung staffing requirement. A head, which is a pathologist, the staff, who will do the medtech side of the whole thing, and a donor recruitment officer, which could either be a doctor, a nurse, or a medtech. Okay? So, yun yung staffing requirements natin. Okay? Difference of category A and category B staffing based on plan. Category A has only 4 staff. Okay? Again, this is ideal. Okay? This is based on the law. Okay? So if you have a larger workload, of course, they're going to add more than 40 staff. The staffing is based on the law. Okay? So not all laboratories follow this. Sometimes there's more than that. But again, that is because there should be somebody who should check on the donors, who should check on the blood, who should process the blood, and who should check off who should again look at the machines if they're functioning well at night. Okay? So ganon class, okay? Ganon. So if it's a category A blood bank, again, yun yung it doesn't go beyond troubleshooting incompatibility and hemolytic transfusion reactions. 4 lang sila. Pero pag category 5, 2 sa umaga. Okay? Ideally, again, as mandated by the law. Okay? By the law yan. Okay? So again, kasi sir, bakit ganon? 2 yung staff namin sa ano? Ay, 4 yung staff namin sa umaga, tapos tagi-isa lang sa gabi. Again, that is the choice of the institution. Okay? That is the choice of the institution. But when somebody from BHFS checks the laboratory, there should be at least this many depending on category. Okay? At the very least, they should have that one. Now, the BHFS also looks into the workload, of course, and they would be the people who would understand that the workload for a category B, if it's like 1,000 blood donors a day, obviously hindi lang pwedeng 5 lang ang gagawa, di ba? Okay? So obviously hindi 5 yung gagawa ng trabaho. Okay? So ganon. Now, we also have another administrative order. This is 2008-0058, also known as the Rules and Regulations Governing Blood Service Facilities, or BSFAs. This was promulgated in 5/2/2008. Okay, the types of blood banks according to Administrative Order 2008-0058 is as follows. Again, it's based on ownership, institutional character, and service capability. Okay, so ownership based is either government or private. Okay, if it's based on institutional character. It is either hospital or non-hospital based. An example of which is the Philippine National Red Cross. They have the equipment, they have everything to do they have everything they need to do the tests, but they are not affiliated with the hospital. Okay? With a hospital, with a singular hospital. Their main goal in organizing their institution is to collect and provide blood to areas where blood is in where blood is scarce or scarce. Okay? Now, service capability, on the other hand, this is something that confuses my students every time I would discuss MTL. Okay? A blood station, station lang siya. Okay? Imagine mo lang na station lang siya, gas station. It just stores whole blood. Okay? Pwede ka mag-withdraw dito. Okay? Pwede ka ding mag-deposit. Kaya nga station, di ba? Parang gas station lang. Okay? Blood collection unit is somebody who is an institution rather that can store blood, that can collect blood and give it to hospitals that need it. Okay? A blood bank on the other hand can do all of what the other two can do. Aside from that, it can do blood typing, Coombs test, and cross matching. A blood center, on the other hand, is a facility that does donor selection and collects blood again, and they deliver it specifically to whomever they serve, whether it be the Philippine National Red Cross or a blood center affiliated to whatever hospital in the Philippines is. Okay, so Philippine Blood Center, under siya ng Red Cross. Do they do donor selection and collection of blood? Yes, they just collect the blood, they type it, then they put it on their merry way. Why? Bakit may blood? Bakit may blood may blood typing, sir? Kasi kasama 'yun sa donor selection process. Okay? Kasama 'yun sa donor selection process. Of course, hindi ka naman magbibigay siguro sa blood bank ng blanco yung pinaka-importanting detail, which is the blood type. Because the reason why the Red Cross is operating is because they want to provide all blood types, 'di ba? All blood types as much as possible, including the rare blood groups. Okay? Including the rare blood groups. So, obviously they will ask the most important thing of all, the blood type. If the person can't recall or doesn't have a card that says, I am type B, then they will type that patient. Okay? But again, it's still routine to blood type the patient in a blood center and even in a blood collection unit. Okay? Next. RA 8504, which is the Philippine AIDS Prevention and Control Act of 1998. I'm a big advocate of HIV education and HIV control and community outreach in the Philippines. I've donated several of my earnings to many institutions there in the Philippines, and I'm proud to say that they've helped a lot of underprivileged youths in the country. Okay? Now, AIDS Prevention and Control Act sounds a little bit too how do we say this, too direct, 'di ba? Masyadong prevention and control kaagad. Ibig sabihin sakit talaga yung nila. Parang hindi kasama yung rights ng patient, 'di ba? So kaya nga merong yan. Merong mga amendments yan. Okay, so it was promulgated in 1998. So kita nyo class, napaka-recent lang niya class. It was like 20 years ago or 15 or 20 years ago. I'm not sure. I'm not very good at math, but it's somewhere around that estimate of mine. Okay? Now, the purpose of RA 8504 or the Philippine AIDS Prevention and Control Act is to educate and to inform the public of the ongoing worldwide epidemic that is AIDS or HIV/AIDS. Okay, it has 52 sections. We're not going to go deep into that, but it was asked once in a PAMIT quiz show how many sections there are in the National AIDS, the Philippine AIDS Prevention Act of 1998, and maybe some of you might be might be asked by our esteemed professor or esteemed dean, Mr. Flores, to participate in that competition. Okay, so the under the Philippine National AIDS Prevention and Control Act, it has the National AIDS Council. It has several members. Has 26 actually, and the permanent chair of that is the DOH secretary. Ang daming trabaho ng DOH secretary. They are responsible for the provision of RA 8504. Okay, and who monitors the magnitude of HIV infection in the Philippines under the law? It should be AIDS Watch. Okay, an organization who may be composed of healthcare workers or statistician or biostatisticians to give us a data about the what's going on in terms of AIDS infection rates and deaths, and how many people have been going to different programs by the government, or have been signing up or subscribing to different programs in the government. When I say subscribe, they just go to facilities that offer free services, okay, by the National AIDS Council. Okay, again, based on the proponents of 8504, who are the people whom HIV reports are given to. Okay, so one of the rules, one of the laws that are within the sections of RA 8504 is that there are only several people who can receive HIV reports for fear of because there is fear of stigmatizing people, okay, especially if it's given to somebody who is a marites, okay. So mahirap magbigay ng mga results na ganyan sa marites. Masyadong sensitive yung information na yan. Okay? It can lead to being stigmatized. It can lead to a lot. Lalo na yung sinabing ay nagka-AIDS siya, bakla yan, or nakipag-sex sa bakla yan. Ganon. Laging ganon yung stigma na ano. And again, I am not telling you this as part of my it shouldn't be part of my lecture, but I, as an advocate, I still see these types of actions done by several people na ganun kaagad ang sinasabi. But when we all know as healthcare professionals, and you guys as future healthcare professionals, you know how AIDS is contracted. It is not just through sex from just not from gay sex, diba? It could be from transfusion, it could be from exchange of needles, it could be from different sources, class. Okay? You could have it as a nosocomial infection for all we know, right? Because you got pricked in the hospital. Sasabihin, ay nako, si Claire Gono, nagkaroon siya ng HIV, ang jowa siguro niya Becky. Ganon, hindi. Okay? Yun yung reason ng 8504 na to. Okay? It is to inform people and educate people on the importance of health information pertaining to HIV. Okay? So now, because we are promulgated, now because of that, they've created the law and mandated the people, or that told people rather to follow, or that told healthcare professionals such as ourselves that we know that HIV reports are given only to the patient himself who submitted to the test. If the patient is a minor, it should be a parent or a legal guardian of an orphan or an insane person, okay, or a Supreme Justice, or a Supreme Court Justice, or a Justice of the Court of Appeals. Okay? So bakit? Mahirap din makuha ng Supreme Court Justice yan. Kailangan isabina. Okay? Kailangan isabina. Otherwise, pwede mong kasuhan sa ombudsman ang isang Supreme Court Justice. Kasi malay ba ni Supreme Court Justice, gusto lang niyang mangmarites, 'di ba? Gusto nilang malaman, 'di ba? Okay? So the very extent of that one is more or less to avoid being of a person being stigmatized. They want people to feel that they are being protected by the law as well, even though HIV positive people um, are are basically have an incurable disease that can be that can be managed, by the way, in this time na. Okay? Now, we're done with that one. But ang ikli lang ng discussion, sir, no, ng HIV law. Kasi yun lang yung mga questions usually na tinatanong sa sa MTL. Now, we go to the next one, which is HIV screening, Newborn Screening Act, rather, of 2004, which was promulgated on April 7, 2004, and it is RA 9288, and based on RA 9288, NBS should be done within 24 hours. Within done 24 hours to 3 days. Okay? If the infant is sent to the NICU or requires intensive care within the span of 3 days, it could be extended to 7 days. Okay? It could go beyond the 3-day period. Okay? But that's the very extent. Okay? Genetic disorders that are screened by the Newborn Screening Act, you have a lot. You have like 5. Okay? Most commonly tested ones are the congenital hypothyroidism, which results to cretinism, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, G6PD deficiency, galactosemia, and phenylketonuria. Why is this important? Because if the physician knows these things, they can promote a better health outcome for the infant in the future. They can educate the parents that they should avoid certain things. They should give this type of medication to a specific individual so that they can live at least a sort of a normal life. Okay, so phenylketonuria, you won't die. Okay, you won't die from phenylketonuria, but if you avoid you avoid phenylalanine rich foods, your baby could survive can survive and become a normal functioning individual. Why? Because if there is ketosis or phenylketonuria, or if phenylketonuria is left undiagnosed, the baby can undergo. Then the baby can and if there is an undiagnosed and unmanaged phenylketonuria case, a baby can grow up and become mentally retarded. Okay, can become mentally retarded. Okay, and also with galactosemia and G6PD deficiency. Basically, you just want to avoid anemia for the rest of your life. You want to know what foods to avoid. Okay, faba beans. Okay, you should avoid faba beans. Okay, those kinds of things. Okay. Now we have special topics that are usually asked in the board exam. We'll go through it as fast as I can. What are the reasons why board examinations may be postponed? There's a pandemic or an epidemic. Public calamities where 25% of examiners are absent. Set A and B exams, same questions but different arrangements. Okay, so they are given 2 sets. People are given 2 sets, by the way. Okay. What else? If a pathologist is unavailable, a physician may be qualified to perform the duties of a laboratory head, provided that he or she is a what? Provided that he or she has undergone training in any of the following: quality control, laboratory medicine, or laboratory management, or if they are an RMT. Okay? What is the penalty for dispensing, transfusing, or failing to dispose HIV contaminated blood? 10 years imprisonment. Very recent yung batas, kaya medyo mabigat yung bagsak, 'di ba? What is done to an HIV reactive sample during screening? They are sent and confirmed by SLH. Anong ibig sabihin ng SLH, class? Baka hindi alam, baka may hindi nakakaalam. Audrey Fontanilla. Okay, San Lazaro Hospital. Okay. Thank you. Dalawang San. Isa lang ha. Chill ka lang, Audrey. Ikaw talaga, Audrey. Ha? Na-excite si Audrey sumagot. I missed you, Audrey. Tagal natin hindi nagkita. Tandaan mo, Audrey, pag umuwi ako ng Pilipinas, hindi ko pa nakakalimutan. Magsasamgyup tayo, Audrey, ha? Nasaan na yung isa mong kasama? Sino nga yun? Yung isasama nating isa. Nakalimutan ko. Anyways, Audrey, let's go and let's go to the next one. The renewal of MT license. The renewal of MT license. Recent additional requirements include the collection of what? 60 CPE units. Units lang yan, hindi unites yan. Units. Nagmamadali ako eh. Sa ano ko lang yan tinype. Sa anong tag doon? Sa iPad ko lang yan tinype and autocorrect siya. Define contact tracing. Ayan, that is an important thing to know. Especially now that there's still an ongoing threat of getting COVID and dying from COVID. Still, there is still. Okay. Contact tracing is finding and counseling the sexual partners of a person with an STD. Contact tracing cannot be just for STDs, by the way. That contact tracing can be done also if the disease could be something like COVID-19, right? So, hindi lang siya sexual partners ha. So finding out or doing detective work by interviewing the person of how many people he or she had intercourse with, and then making a full on map of whether these people have intercourse with other people. These people have also other. So it branches out into a larger web of sexual intercourses and a lot of chats, I suppose, on Tinder. But anyways, let's move on with our discussion, and let's avoid discussion about social media. All right, HIV testing, whereby the individual being tested does not reveal his or her true age, is known as anonymous testing. Sometimes they ask this question. Okay. Providing high-risk reduction information and emotional support to a person who submitted to HIV testing is termed simply as post-test counseling. Okay. Persons frequently involved dapat yan in certain activities which increase the risk of transmitting in HIV. HIV is known as a high-risk behavior. Okay. So, high-risk behavior. So, ano ba yung mga may high-risk behavior na yan? Usually, sila yung mga sex workers, di ba? Right? Sila yung mga sex workers. Sila yung children of abuse. Di ba? Mga ganon. Okay? Sila yung children who are, hindi lang basta children, lagi na lang children, mga ganon. Sila yung, ano pa ba? Sex workers, abuse, people who just go out, who just have an active social media following na lang. Ganunin na lang natin, no? Mga ganun, ayokong magbulgar na mga kung ano-ano. Diyos ko, class. Okay? The minimum number of DT or drug testing lab a physician can handle, they can handle 10. Okay? 10. Possible clients for mandatory drug testing is applicants for driver's license, applicants of firearm license, military and police, law enforcing agencies, and patients with criminal offense, and candidates for public office. Okay? Nakakatawa to. Second bullet. Alam nyo ba na mas mura dito sa US makabili ng baril at napakaunti ng restrictions compared sa pagbili ng kotse? I didn't know that. I could buy something off of Walmart or I don't know, somewhere there with $500 or $1,000, but I can't have a car. There's a lot of requirements for me to get a car. Kaya nakakatawa. At least dito sa atin medyo matino tayo, no? And besides, medyo mababa ang sahod ng mga medtech. Hindi, kung makakabili lang ng mga medtech ng firearms sa Pilipinas, mataas na siguro ang crime rate dahil ang toxic ng trabaho sa lab. Okay, next. Possible clients for random drug testing. Students in secondary and tertiary schools. So ano ito? Mga high school students and college students officers are employed in public and private offices, whether it's domestic or overseas. Okay? Random yan. It could again everybody is allowed to ask their employees in private offices to any business owner or an owner of a firm is allowed to do mandatory drug testing, especially class if their line of work relies on taking care of sensitive material. Okay? Mga ganon. What are the important details contained in the chain of custody forms? So information identifying the specimen, time and date of the collection, name and signature of all individuals who had custody of the sample during the collection process, and the name of the drug testing laboratory. Okay? The validity of drug test results is 1 year. And again, that is it. We just finished it on time. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, class? In an 8-hour class, we've managed to learn so much and recorded so much. Hopefully, you did learn from me, and I hope you pass my exams, because I'll be making a different one as opposed to the previous one. Because class, I don't like copy and pasting my work. I suppose that's one of the reasons why Mr. Marco Flores asks me to teach you guys. It's because I keep my material fresh. Charet. And with that, and if that's the case, mahirap magkopya with the other class. But don't worry, I don't ask questions that I haven't discussed with you guys. So if you have questions, right now is the time. I'll give you like 5 minutes to ask me questions. Wag lang masyadong personal, class, ha? Hindi tama yun. Okay? So I'll be stopping the stream now. Thank you guys for listening and not being too rowdy. Okay? Or if you were being too rowdy, you have at least you've at least have a certain level of respect to me that you didn't show it in the webcams. Okay? I'll be seeing you, I think, on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Anybody? No questions? Anong mic nyo ngayon? Anlinaw. No. Hindi bago yung mic. Bago ang bahay. Maganda ang acoustics. Maganda ang bahay. Oo, maganda ang bahay. Diba? Ano pa? Ano ba yan, Patrick? Ang mga question? Sir, ang haba nyo, ang haba ng hair nyo, vagay. Siyempre, diba? Ano ba? Nakakainis naman yan. Hindi naman yan question. Asan na yung uuwi ng February? Hindi na-approve yung OEC ko, class. I'm sorry. Okay, hindi na-approve. Hindi ako nakauwi. Plan ko pa naman bisitahin kayo, class, talaga. Isa yan sa mga ginagawa ko every time na nagbabalik bayan ako. May dala talaga ako laging isang bag na puno ng pasalubong for my students. Okay? So, plan ko talaga yon, class. Ano ba yan? Napakawalang kwenta naman ng mga tanong ni Valiant. Ano ba yan? Ano pa? Gusto ko yung mga hard-hitting na questions pero hindi super personal. Ano pa? Class, wala na. Ano ito? Sir, ask lang po 5527. Hindi po ba at least 5 years prior to appointment instead of 10 years? Hehehe po, TY. What do you mean? Section 18. What section 18? Section 18, 15 years. 5 to 10 years instead of 5 years. Oo. Yeah. Wala bang debate? Walang debate, sorry. Yes, you're correct pala. By the way, Kylie, you're correct. It's actually, buti na unahan mo ako, i-correct sana kita, hindi siya section 8. Okay. Yes, tama ka. Sir, yung na-discuss nyo po today sa Histopath, yun lang po ba ang scope ng exam sa 15? Thank you po. My suggestion is mag-behave kayo, class. Kasi pag alam nyo na, pag bumula yung bunganga ni Sir Marco, di ba? Historically, medyo lumalala yung exam pag mainit ang ulo ni Sir Marco, class. Kaya, di ba, Sir Marco? So, sometimes nagdadagdag si Sir Marco, sometimes hindi niya inaano. Kaya, my suggestion, Again, I'm basing it off of my previous based on my previous lectures here with Sir Marco. May mga times na dumadali dahil mabait yung mga students. May mga times na lumalala. Dinadagdagan pa niya. Okay. And we do correspond with each other when I'm making the examinations. Biglang may magme-message sa akin yan si Sir Marco. Sir Manuel, parang ang dali. Gagano yan si Sir Marco. Okay, and we do have correspondence class. So hindi lang yung basta ako nagpasa kay Sir Marco. 'Di ba Sir Marco, no? Kamusta po ngayon, sir? Mabait po ba? Hehehe. Um, nandun kayo sa nandun kayo sa light lang. Okay? Malapit na yung 5 minutes nyo, class. Magtanong na kayo, class. Okay? Nandun lang kayo sa may middle ground. You're not too mabait. You're not too rowdy. Okay? So, nasa chill na level lang kayo, class. Ano pa? Ano to? Wala kasi yung all-stars ng CMCC. Nandyan naman kayo. Ano ba to? May nabigyan ba dito ng May nabigyan ba dito ng... Para kasi may iba akong nakikita, may iba akong hindi ko nakikita ngayon eh. So, I'm assuming yung mga hindi ko nakikita gumraduate na. Tapos yung mga nakikita ko ngayon, mga ireg nung time na I don't know. But anyways, okay. Ano na? Wala na kayong tanong, class? Shall I close our discussion for today? All good in the hood, sir. Ooh, child, somebody's turning from someone from New York. Ooh, child. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've learned a lot. Medyo hindi maganda yung pakiramdam ko kaya hindi ako ganun. Yung energy level ko hindi katulad last time, no? May nakapansin nun si Valiant, sabi na nag-private message nga siya sa akin kanina. Okay, but anyways, I do hope to see you guys again. As colleagues, okay? Not as my students. I don't want to see you guys as my students. Okay? Di ba, Sir Marco? Nagsasawa ka na din, di ba, Sir Marco? Di ba, sir? Wala na, magbababay na ako. Bye!
share this, but don't get this. Fair?